In the financial system, on one hand, we have central ledgers, which are the legacy payment networks of the old world. And on the other hand, we have blockchain technology, which is the new, open and secure, peer-to-peer decentralized ledger. Now we have Ripple and the San Francisco-based BitFury, who have teamed up together and are releasing new code that uses Lightning Network with Interledger to conduct transactions not only between different cryptocurrencies, but also between the traditional financial systems central ledgers, such as PayPal, Alipay, and those lame old bank accounts. So how does connecting traditional bank accounts and PayPal accounts to the blockchain affect cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin? And if a bank account hooks up to the blockchain in the woods and there's no Lightning Network to connect it, does it really count? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. So we are super excited to be here and to be bringing you the news today. There's a lot going on. The market has been freaking out, going up in a lot of ways, a lot of Bitcoin ways, and has been sort of staying flat or decreasing in a lot of not Bitcoin ways, and we'll be seeing that when we take a look at the market. First, I just want to say thanks for showing up. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for hitting that like button and subscribing if you're new. It really helps. It really supports the channel. And if you have any questions while you're watching the video, feel free to pop those questions right into the comments below. But today in the news, we are talking about Ripple, and we are talking about BitFury, and we are talking about how they are connecting Bitcoin to other sections of the world, other areas of the world, and particularly other traditional financial systems and companies like PayPal and traditional bank accounts. By connecting PayPal, these PayPal systems and these bank account systems to send payments and to receive payments, not just between other PayPal accounts and PayPal to bank account and bank account to PayPal and so forth and so on, but also between these traditional systems and your favorite cryptocurrency. And it's really interesting. We saw this in one of our previous videos just recently, looking at Microsoft's Coco for the Ethereum network, and also looking at Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Poon's Plasma, which is also a subchain, sidechain system for the Ethereum network. Here what we're looking at is this project that uses Lightning Network, and this Lightning Network is creating subchains, and these subchains are, you know, having their own rules, and they are off the main Bitcoin blockchain, which is one of the concerns that a lot of people have about Bitcoin and a lot of people have about SegWit and a lot of people have about Lightning Network, is that it takes a lot of these transactions off the chain. But that's where we see a lot of this higher level, higher usage blockchain technology going. This is the direction Ethereum is going. This is the direction that Bitcoin BTC is going. And what's new about this situation is that BitFury and Ripple, they're taking the Lightning Network, but you know, not only are they creating a side chain with their own little ecosystem, but they're creating an ecosystem that can be directly connected to these traditional banking accounts. Really, really interesting stuff. But with that, why don't we just, you know, get deeper into that when we get into the news, pop into the markets, look around, see what's going on, and then let's discuss. Okay, so where am I over here? So here we are over here at coinmarketcap.com. Taking a look at the Bitcoin market. The Bitcoin market, the cryptocurrency market overall is just swelling. We are over here $144 billion, 100,000 million billion. And there's been over $6 billion in trading in the past 24 hours. It's been up there the past couple of days around that $5 billion mark, $6 billion mark, and today is another day just like that. There's a lot going on. And then we have a Bitcoin dominance just dipping under the 50% mark at 49.6%. And so there's more money going into the system, and we're going to take a peek at that right now. So where are we over here? Bitcoin, the #1 coin with $71 billion. Unbelievable. Just a few weeks ago, it seems it was, at the most a few months ago, the total cryptocurrency market cap for all of the cryptocurrency universe, which is currently almost 145 billion, 144 billion, this used to be 70 billion just a few weeks ago. And here we are with now the Bitcoin market cap alone being 71 billion. Ethereum being 28 billion. I remember when Ethereum broke 1 billion. And we have, we didn't talk about this the other day, but we have every single one of the top 10 coins over $1 billion in total market cap. Unbelievable. An unbelievable amount of money. And so yesterday, Bitcoin was over, the dominance was over 50%, and today we're only down 1%. With Bitcoin BTC, there's been over $2.5 million in trading in the past 24 hours. We're only down 1% compared to USD, and our dominance is down. Well, also our market cap is up, so a lot of additional capital has gone into the cryptocurrency universe, and it's sticking out like a sore green thumb. 77% up. Bitcoin Cash. As we've been watching this channel, you've been watching this channel with me, so you know that the Bitcoin Cash price was equal to Ethereum around $300, and it has since jumped over $200 to north of $500. Quite significant. And if we look at this and these prices in BTC terms, we see Ethereum over here still at 0.07, and we see Bitcoin Cash breaking that 0.1 mark again, which it had done previously. I don't know if it had reached quite so high to 1.24. I think it was 1.1, 1.2. But here we are breaking that 1.24. So earlier today, this was 0.065. And so this has since just about doubled in just the past 24 hours, obviously 81%. But I guess it depends which exchange you look at too, but 0.065, 0.25, 125. But it's just pretty significant. What we're seeing here, we're not seeing people taking their Bitcoin, and which is at new highs at $4,300, and selling that Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash. Maybe some of those people, but not at 1% to match this 77%. With $1 billion in trading up here and up $200 a coin. Yeah, there's a lot of additional money going into the market. There's a lot of fiat money coming from somewhere. This could be analyzed, and there's probably going to be some channels that do that and figure that out. But at a high level right here, we just see that there's money flooding the cryptocurrency space. And as of today, a lot of it has been going into Bitcoin Cash, even with these major highs that we're seeing with Bitcoin BTC. A lot of people singing the praises of Bitcoin Cash, and with that, we just don't know what's going to happen. We're going to talk about the sidechain business and Lightning Network and creating sidechains with Bitcoin, and that's one of the concerns that a lot of people have about SegWit and Blockstream and the new BTC, which is definitely different than the old BTC. The old BTC that we all knew, even before August 1st. That BTC is gone, and there are two new Bitcoins. One is BTC and one is BCH or BCC, depending on who you ask, even though there was already a BCC coin, right? Right here, BitConnect. But yeah, so the sidechain business could be really, really risky, the way that money can come off the sidechain, and we just don't know the implications and what would happen when that money comes off this side chain, if that goes into a side chain that isn't trustworthy, and then that side chain, if people get hurt, if those side chains will allow fractional reserve banking, it's really, really interesting how this is going to get developed. So I guess we'll talk about this some more in just a second. Yeah, so let's look at a couple of memes. So here's this one meme. After trying to time the market by buying and selling repeatedly and failing miserably, I now have a new strategy. this is my strategy from the get-go. I'm not selling. Just hold on, just sell, just don't sell. Just hold on, just don't sell, just hold, and just don't sell, and just buy and hold. And long term, if the whole market goes up, all the ships will rise, and time in the market is much stronger than timing the market. And so I would recommend that you just consider consider thinking about the long term, consider thinking about the long game, and consider doing this. Consider holding. Hold. That's what I'm saying, because it's just a crazy ride. You might not make the most money with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is probably going to be the most secure long term, no matter what happens. And if and when there's major news and Bitcoin moons, that's one coin shot up that you're not going to want to miss. When Ethereum shoots up and it goes from $20 to $2,000, that's one thing. But the potential of Bitcoin going from, say, $4,000 to $10,000 or $40,000 would just make it that much more unattainable for somebody if somebody wasn't in Bitcoin before Bitcoin does do that shoot up. And with everything going on in the world today, it's just a crazy world out there. Okay, so I definitely wanted to bring this to your attention too, is that if you own a Trezor, then there's a major firmware update, 1.5.2, because earlier this year what happened is that there was a conference, I think it was at DEF CON, and I remember seeing this video and being really concerned about it. I definitely didn't want to make news about it and highlight this vulnerability, but what we see is that there was a vulnerability with the Trezor where if someone had physical access to your device and knew exactly what it is that they are doing, then they were able to extract information to access the cryptocurrency on your device. And so Trezor had this problem. I believe there was perhaps a different cryptocurrency that had this cryptocurrency hardware wallet that had this problem as well. But the good news is that if you have a Trezor, then you can plug your Trezor in and update the firmware online, and then you should be protected from this, from this potential hack. And so there was another article where it goes into a deeper information about this, and the situation is just from the Trezor's point of view is that not everything in that blog post was 100% accurate, and so it's just good. Make sure you check out both sources, and I'm going to have the Trezor's information linked here, so you can get all the information from the creator, from the manufacturer, and just if you do have a Trezor, make sure you do update that firmware as soon as possible, because it's good to update your security. So, okay, turning to today's news and checking out the news article for today, we have this article coming out of CoinDesk.com. And so CoinDesk is talking about this information from BitFury and Ripple, this demo of new code that puts this new twist into the Bitcoin technology. It adds Lightning to bank ledgers. So, blow this up a little bit for you. So what we have is that the blockchain services firm BitFury, who's a San Francisco-based company that is a blockchain company that's not based on an ICO, actual traditional funding, and a payment network provider Ripple are releasing new code that makes it possible to conduct Lightning-style transactions. And they are able to do this across a range of blockchain and legacy payment networks. And so it's still in the early stages of development. And but what they're predicting, even though they haven't been able to prove it yet, is that they're going to be able to expand the Bitcoin's capacity to millions and millions of transactions by moving those transactions off of Bitcoin and putting them onto the Lightning network, these side chains that will exist as secondary top layer payments, so that will exist on top of and with Bitcoin. So the two companies released this demo with this technology that showed that it could be used to make transactions between Bitcoin and Litecoin. That you can just send your Bitcoin to Litecoin and it would instantly convert, and then the person would get the Litecoin that they were expecting. Strange as that sounds like magic to me. So since Lightning is increasingly perceived as a necessary layer for the blockchain transactions, the companies view this as a step toward the future where they won't have to worry about which payment systems that we're using. And so let's see here. So there's this quote here from Ripple that says, "I shouldn't have to care which particular coin that you like to use, or if you're on PayPal and the other person is on Alipay, or if I'm using Bitcoin and the other person is using a bank account, I should still be able to send money and not have to place any worry about it." So that's the idea. That's what they're trying to do, is to add on this layer where they can add not just Bitcoin from the Bitcoin network to a sub network that has cool features, but to literally send Bitcoin to any other system in the world that wants to tap into it without putting their system directly on the blockchain. Very, very interesting way to get traditional financial companies to continue to exist by allowing them to connect in and portal in and have cryptocurrency portal back into Bitcoin and the different other cryptocurrency networks. If they're able to create this interoperability between all of these different blockchains and all of these private companies, individual payment networks, and every single financial company that exists today and has existed before and after 2009 can just instantly tap into any other cryptocurrency without having to necessarily be directing that cryptocurrency themselves, that would just be, incredible. And from their enterprise perspective of being able to interface with the technology, and it would also make it, give them the ability to survive the coming disruption even longer, giving them time to integrate and to fluctuate through the changes and to adapt to where they need to go as a company, because they'll have the additional runway and the capability to connect their existing financial systems with these new financial systems, instead of there being a hard door and people just not being able to get in, right? If you sever that connection and people can't go from their Bitcoin to PayPal, then they're not going to use PayPal, and PayPal is going to fade away. But if PayPal is able to easily connect to Bitcoin, and I can PayPal you money and you can receive it in your Bitcoin just as easy as PayPal to PayPal, or if you can Bitcoin money to my PayPal address and I can receive that that value in USD, I suppose, even though you sent it to me in Bitcoin, that just opens up huge roads for possibility and an exchange crossing the worlds of blockchain and the traditional financial centralized ledgers. So, but this isn't Lightning Network alone. This is Lightning Network and something called Interledger. It's the Interledger edition. So currently it's compatible only with public blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but with permissioned protocols managed by a few companies, as well as payment transactions such as PayPal. So what this means is that Lightning Network supports transactions across different blockchains between, say, for example, potentially Bitcoin and Litecoin, but Lightning Network alone cannot make transactions to any centralized ledger or to PayPal without using the integration of the Interledger. And so that's why Interledger is very, very useful for Lightning, according to the BitFury researchers. So that's how they're able to make this magic happen. Whatever this Interledger does is where this magic is happening. And so this team also created a testnet that the testnet can go along with. But the problems with the code that they have released and being able to really prove these implementations is that no Lightning Network implementations are deployed on top of the permissioned blockchains that could take advantage of this. And so because of this, that there's none of them that are existing, they can't really test the code that they created because, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, it doesn't make a sound. And that's what we see here. So as we were talking about in the Ethereum Coco Plasma video just recently, the future success of every single one of these protocols depends on the adoption and the network adoption of these protocols. And so, you know, Bitcoin is successful, even if Bitcoin is not the best technology out there. Bitcoin is going to be successful practically no matter what, because Bitcoin was the first, it's the biggest, it's the most secure, it has the most invested into it from people's capital, the most invested into it from people's time and effort and infrastructure with people and processes and infrastructure. You know, people have a lot riding on Bitcoin. People know about Bitcoin all over the world. And so Bitcoin just has this massive network effect. And then that's not even mentioning the miners. And so the miners on top of it is just quite significant how large Bitcoin is. And so now that Bitcoin is so large and Ethereum is so large, it's so large that we have to have these secondary layer networks to interact with those blockchains, because they're having, you know, they're potentially going to have some problems, and they are having some problems with how big these blockchains are and how frequently people want to interact with these blockchains. And so they're saying that they need to create these side chains. Well, these side chains or these sub chains, whatever you want to call them, they also are affected by this network effect. So in the case of Ethereum, between Coco and Plasma and these other options that are out there, the Radeon network, which works with Plasma, or Coco, which could be a direct competitor of Plasma, those are competing with each other to be the dominant tool that everybody uses on top of the Ethereum network. And this example of this interledger that is coming out between Ripple and BitFury is just the same sort of instance, where they want to be the #1 sidechain tool protocol system that is used by all of these different companies, like the PayPals and the Alipays and the different sort of bank accounts and the banks that could connect with these different sort of central ledger sort of companies. I'm sure you can get into financials and stocks and gold and all sorts of traditional centralized ledgers, right? Yeah, so the mass adoption is really long term what these guys are shooting for, because, you know, once it gets to a certain point, then everyone's going to go with it just because it's the biggest, best one out there. It's sort of why, and don't hate me if you love Drupal, but it's why WordPress is what most people are familiar with in this world, and it's why just so many fewer people use Drupal. It's just WordPress is what got the network effect and is, you know, the content management system for the web. Well, no one knows what that is yet for these subchains. That's what these guys are working on right now. And so, yeah, so they just conclude that this is the missing ingredient, is the whole interoperability, not just with blockchains, but with centralized ledgers, and just allowing the cryptocurrencies and central ledgers to just be completely interconnected, and just that's their vision, that's their world, that's what they're working on, and that's what's going on with Ripple and BitFury. Let me see if how's Ripple doing again? I thought they were up earlier, but I guess I was wrong. No, they're actually down right now, still 3.48%. And yeah, also compared to Bitcoin, they're also down. Just on a side note, you know, in USD, Ethereum is down 1.43%. So you might feel like you're losing money with Ethereum, but technically, it's, you know, still above zero when you compare, you know, the Ethereum price in BTC. All right, last thing real quick. I just wanted to give a little more detail about BitFury. And so who is BitFury? BitFury is headquartered in San Francisco, California. They're a leading fully integrated Bitcoin blockchain security and infrastructure provider with over $90 million in investing. Not bad for a non-ICO. 4 rounds, kind of heavy, 12 investors. That might be kind of light. And so employees, it looks like we have between 250 and 500 employees. And they were founded in 2012. So yeah, they've been around for 5 years doing a lot of interesting work. And we're not going to get into all of this, but I'll leave this in the show notes for below in case you wanted to take a peek at the people who are running this, some of the news they have coming out or had come out, some of these other details. Really interesting stuff. So yeah, so really interesting. I've been really thinking a lot about this whole sidechain business, subchain business, you know, whatever it's going to be called, and how these chains, we're going in the direction of these chains, they're going to exist. And if you have Bitcoin now or Ethereum now, then you're going to have that on the main chain. So my sort of fear that I have had, like starting with cryptocurrency, is that cryptocurrency is going to moon. And when it moons, less than 1% of the population is going to know about it, and nobody's going to have it when it moons. And so, you know, when it moons and then somebody wanted a little bit of Bitcoin, it was going to cost, like, say, you know, $1,000 for 0.01 or $10,000 for 0.01. And so it was going to be very, very difficult for people to obtain even small amounts of Bitcoin, right? And now what this sort of concern has evolved into is thinking that people these side chains are going to be made. Say New York State has a side chain and California has a side chain, and you can live and work inside your state, and then you get paid inside, say, Bitcoin from your state's side chain, which isn't even connected to the main chain. There could be all these different rules. You can have, who knows? Like, I'm not sure if this is true, but you know, maybe you can have fractional reserve lending inside of a side chain, and maybe you could have crazy rules, and maybe you could print more units inside of a side chain somehow. And then people would be stuck living and working and existing inside this side chain, inside of a system that could be more difficult for them to accumulate real amounts of Bitcoin to then, you know, exit that side chain to get into the actual Bitcoin chain, right? And so I think they made a Black Swan episode about this, right? Where the guy was like riding the bicycle, and they were getting all the unit credits. And yeah, so really interesting stuff. Let me know if you saw that episode in the comments below, if you know what I'm talking about. Let me know what you think about the sidechain business, and if it sounds kind of scary to you, the more and more that you learn about it. Well, at the same time, it can also be awesome, but that's going to depend on who rules every individual instance of each sidechain that gets generated in the new world, right? These sidechains are going to pop up probably just as frequently as ICOs, which would be crazy because ICOs are popping up so many all the time. There's like multiple ICOs every day coming out, it seems. But yeah, really interesting stuff. A lot we talked about here. There's a lot to digest, a lot to take in. This is really, really good in terms of the evolution, in terms of the development of Bitcoin and the blockchain technology. If you're concerned about the side chains, then there's also Bitcoin Cash, which is following more of that traditional Bitcoin model while increasing the block size. And yeah, it's hedge your bets maybe. It's no one knows what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, when I'm watching other people and reading other people, who has an agenda, who has a side, who's been paid off, you know, who has what on who, and you know. So we just need to receive this information, understand that all this information has pros, each of this information has cons, and we need to just weigh the good and the bad, and then make these decisions for ourselves, while not letting our emotions rule us, not putting all of our eggs into one basket, not taking risks that we can't afford, and definitely not taking anything that I'm saying as financial advice, because none of this is financial advice. This is just information that we're bringing you, and some commentary just to help as much as we can put some of this into perspective. So I really hope that you appreciate, if you stick around and you're still listening at this point, then you're probably getting something out of this video. And I really want to thank you for sticking around. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for hitting that like button, subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Check us out on Steemit, and check out the show notes. Lots of cool information in the show notes and links that we go over in the show. And we have more videos on the way, so be sure to look out for those, and then we'll be talking soon and talking about the latest news in cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Bitcoin technology. And so until then, I'm glad that we're minting coins.